Welcome everyone to the local pension board meeting this morning at 10 o'clock on the 1st of April. It is a serious meeting because despite the date we've established, okay, we'll jump into item agenda 1 then. Apologies for absence. Jeremy?
Apologies. Yeah, apologies received from David White and Ian Guy.
Okay. And then item agenda 2 is disclosure of personal and prejudicial interests. I have my usual prejudicial interests, so if you could mark that down, please, which is I am a member of the pension board, so is my wife, and so is my son, I believe, yeah. Any other members with prejudicial interests? No. Rosemary. Okay.
Yes, my sister's an employee of Neathwood Talbot and a member of the pension scheme, but I myself have no personal interest other than that.
Okay, and officers, I'm a member of the pension scheme, Chair.
Okay, fine. Oh, Jeff, you've got your hand up, sorry. Yeah.
Likewise, Chairman, I'm also a member of the pension scheme and like to declare personal interest in the whole agenda.
Okay then, and Caroline?
Similarly, I'm a member of the LGPS. I have personal interest in the whole agenda.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I apologize. Caroline, it is not Caroline. Sorry. Yeah.
That's fine, no problem.
You got Caroline on your actual.
I am actually Caroline, but I'm called Caroline so often I just ignore it.
Okay, but it's got Caroline on the side and Caroline on there. Anyway, so and I'm easily confused on a good day. So this is okay. That's fine. All right then. So
it's not an April Fool, I can assure you.
Right, okay. Okay then, we'll jump on to the minutes then, which is item agenda 3, and there are pages 1 to 4. Those of you who can over here, please, I'll go page 1, page 2, page 3, and page 4. Has anyone got any comments to make about those pages? They all a true and accurate record. Thanks so much. Would somebody like to propose?
I'll propose, Chairman.
Oh, fabulous.
A second.
Thank you, Ruby. Good. That's so that the past. I don't think there are any matters arising. We'll check. Right. That's my agenda here. Sorry. No. So there are no matters arising. Then Jeremy, if that's okay, we'll take those as read.
Thank you, Chair.
Going on then to item agenda 4, which is the reports of Audit Wales. And this is where I got the confusion because I must have, this is my head. So I believe, Jeff, you're going to give us a verbal update on that. Thanks.
You're quite right, Chairman, and your memory didn't fail you. Audit Wales did come along to Pension Fund Committee to present verbally their plans for the forthcoming audit for 21-22 financial year and how they intended to conduct it and the scope of work, etc. Ordinarily, they would have presented a full written report as per usual. However, there have been some resourcing issues at both the senior and middle management levels at Audit Wales, and so they haven't been able to produce that audit brief and audit plan as per usual. However, they did indicate that it would be largely business as usual, noting any developments as far as the work program of the pension fund was concerned, and they would amend and adapt their audit program accordingly. As I say, they were quite apologetic about the fact that it was just a verbal report this time. They're hoping to present a full written report outlining their audit plan at next committee, and subsequently the local pension board will have an opportunity then to appraise that audit plan and ask any questions of that detailed report at the next meeting. Sorry, Chairman, you're on mute.
Yes, people prefer it usually. Right. Any questions for Jeff on that item? I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Okay then. All right, we'll move on to the next item agenda then, which is the Item agenda 5A, which is a City and County Pension Fund business plan and this is just for information. Again, is that you, Jeff?
Correct. Thank you, Chairman. Yes, again, this is a housekeeping item. Members will be used to receiving this item on an annual basis. We, as part of good practice, produce an annual business plan outlining the work programme for the pension scheme, both on the investment management side and also the pensions administration side, to outline and provide a framework on which we can plan and resource the work in the forthcoming year. And as you can see at the appendix, it outlines it in detail on a line-by-line basis. For 21-22, I suppose the headline item is preparing for and implementing the triennial valuation. As you're aware, we're required by law to undertake a full valuation every 3 years, and 2022 is the year that we have to undertake that. There was an auspicious date yesterday, 31st of March, because that's upon the date in which we crystallise asset values. And we'll talk a bit more about that later on in the agenda. However, it's an important date because it's upon that date that the asset values are crystallised by the actuary, and they're used as the notional value of our assets, upon which they'll base their calculations for the 2022 triennial valuation, which will then inform employer contribution rates for the next 3 years. Obviously, members of the pension board be aware of the outlook for public sector finances going forward. So it's important that we as a pension scheme try and ensure that we maintain those contribution levels that our employers have to pay at affordable and sustainable levels, noting the challenges that our employers will face in the next 3 years post-COVID and future settlements that we'll receive from Welsh and national governments going forward. So it's an important valuation that will take place in the next year, and again, it's front and centre of the business plan outlined in Appendix 1. Also in this report, we identify the risk register. Again, in line with good practice, we maintain a risk register. It's an active risk register where we outline how we seek to mitigate the risks extant to the pension fund, and the list of risks are quite diverse, starting on page 18 of your papers. Lots of them financial risks, understandably, but also the more prosaic risks about having appropriate, suitably qualified and trained staff, etc., which is always an issue in respect of a complex area such as pensions admin and pensions investment management. And then Appendix 3, we have our outlined our asset allocation and the variation against the same. We wanted to draw to the attention of the committee the disparity between the outlined asset allocation and the actual allocation at a point in time, because as we previously reported, our investments have done so well during the previous 12 months. Some of those allocations are out of kilter. However, they will be rebalanced in time when market conditions are favourable for us to do so, but they are slightly out of kilter. For example, as you can see on the first line on page 22, the global equities target asset allocation is approximately about 61%. It was at that point in time running at about 72%. That's because of the natural increase in value of the global equities portfolio during that point in time. That will be brought back into line as previously outlined with our real assets portfolio as we switch into more yielding assets to take into account our more maturing profile of our workforce, and also noting our very favourable funding position as at December 31st, 2021. But obviously, the last 3 months have been very volatile as far as asset values are concerned. Obviously, markets have been affected by the Ukraine crisis, and asset values have been adversely hit. So again, we'll talk about it a bit more in detail later on the agenda. It's a key component of the actuaries' considerations for the 2022 valuation. And then Appendix 4 of the business plan, we have our outline budget. Again, it's to aid understanding and appreciation of the figures, I suppose, involved in the running of a scheme the size of the City and County of Swansea Pension Fund, as now is, as we previously joke. It's almost as if it's a pension fund with a council attached, noting that the present value of the pension fund is nudging 3 billion, whereas the balance sheet of Swansea Council is just over the £1 billion mark. So you can see these are quite large numbers we're talking about. And Appendix 4 outlines our operational working budget, which we manage the fund. Happy to take questions, Chairman.
Yeah, it's a big number, isn't it? 3 billion. It's a bit frightening, really. Sorry for you, Jeff, as in your position, you're used to having all those notes on the end. But it can be a bit daunting, I think. But that looks very good. I know we're going to chat to the Ukraine situation later on, and obviously that is going to have some sort of impact if it's not already having an impact. But I think we can safely say that the performance and the work that's in place there is exemplary, and I'd like to thank you all and your staff for keeping that way. And any questions for Jeff or his colleagues? No. Okay.
Nothing from me.
Okay.
So, Chairman, if I may, for the benefit of Councillor Jones and Rosemary on the board, just to reiterate some comments made by Councillor Lloyd at committee and at full council earlier in the month, in the quite swift action undertaken by the City and County of Swansea Pension Fund alongside its other 7 Welsh partner funds in addressing the Ukrainian crisis and the economic sanctions imposed by the West in general on the Russian regime, and we as a collective undertook some quite swift action to initially start the divestment of all our Russian assets as soon as practical, because obviously it can't be immediate because of the current suspension of the Russian stock exchange, and they've frozen all those assets at present time. However, it is in train, and as soon as practically possible, those assets will be divested in accordance with the financial sanctions imposed on Russia by Western political powers.
Yeah, excellent. All right.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah. It's Peter. Sorry, yeah, go on.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Just very quickly, Jeff. Obviously, I welcome and fully support the action that is being taken in relation to Russian-based investments. What is the scale of them, and what impact might this divestment have?
It's across the piece, across all 8 Welsh pension funds. It's less than 1%. It's well south of less than 1%. Conversely, Swansea being the largest equity holder in WPP, on a relative basis, we had the largest exposure, and it ran to the region of about £800,000, less than £1 million. So, in a worst case scenario, that could be valued at 0 then. So our holdings, which were currently valued at 800,000, if we divested and there were no buyers in the market, and we had to revalue them at 0, that's the level penalty that the fund would experience as a result of that divestment. However, it is a liquid market. You know, there are obviously some other investors that don't take that view on Russia and Russian stocks, and perhaps don't agree with those financials. So there may be buyers on the other side. So the range of the financial impact for Swansea would range from £0 to £800,000. Councillor Jones.
Okay. What is the nature of those investments? Are they basically energy focused, or are they more diverse than that?
More diverse than that. They're not obvious plays like Gazprom and the headline funds that you hear about. They're a broad range of Russian stocks that's not household names.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Great, yeah, and well, I was going to leave it to the end, but I'll do it now. If like, I mean, quite sad to hear that Clive Lloyd has stepped down as chair. I think he's done a sterling job since he's been chair of the that committee, and I'd like to officially pass on our thanks to him and that committee for the great work they do. You know, it's really set the bar really for the pension fund, I think, in Swansea, and as I know he's moving on to other things, but it's and we got to allow that sometimes. But from our point of view, selfishly, it's not such a good day for us. Yeah. So, but if you could please pass on our thanks and congratulations to him, Jeff. Yeah.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Chairman.
Yeah.
Chairman, if I don't know if you, because prior to you joining the meeting, I think Councillor Jones also communicated that this will be his last local pension board meeting, and Councillor Jones will be stepping down after this municipal year finishes as well. So Councillor Jones will be stepping away from local politics as well.
It's a double sad day for us in that case. Then, no, Peter, you thank you very much for your your attendance here and challenging us on especially the environmental issues, which we welcome, and you will be missed. And thank you all for your contribution since you've been here. Yes, yeah, thanks.
Thank you for your kind comments. Thank you.
Okay, 5B, is it, Jeff?
Thank you,
Yeah.
Chairman. Again, it's housekeeping reports. Members of the local pension board are used to seeing this report. We bring it on an annual basis. A key cornerstone of your role as local pension board members and the pension fund committee members is maintaining a requisite level of knowledge and skills and experience in being able to challenge us as officers and advocate on behalf of your stakeholders in respect of how the pension fund is being managed and run. And this report just seeks to outline the program of trustee training that we plan to implement and make available to local pension board members and pension fund committee members. But at the end of the day, it's your personal responsibility as a local pension board member to ensure that you are adequately trained. However, we do have a plan and a program in place where we identify appropriate events and training for members to attend, and this report just seeks to summarize what's happened in the previous 12 months and then identify prospective training for members for the next 12 months. And I know members of the board have been very active in attending. I know in the last 12 months they've been in the main virtual, but I know members of the board have been very active in attending that training, which has been provided virtually. So I'd like to thank members of the board for their support in attending that training, because I'm sure a lot of it is quite dry when it's virtual, and can't be easy, but your commitment is appreciated.
No, it can be quite dry when it's literal. No, but it is an essential part, and thank you for arranging it, Jeff. It's I think when I first became a board member, it was quite daunting, to say the least, because it's a completely new skill to add to your set, but certainly don't feel daunted by it now, and that's largely helped by you and your staff, and keep us in the loop and supporting us as well. So it's a two-way thing. So thank you, Jeff. Yeah. Should we go on to the breaches then, please?
Thank you, Chairman. Again, members are well used to seeing this. We're legally obliged to report our breaches to members of the committee and board for you to consider and appraise the level.
Sorry, Jeff. So do Rosemary's got a hand up, and I missed it.
Sorry.
So apologies to you first for putting it in, but more so to Rosemary. I didn't see your hand. Sorry.
That's fine, no problem. I'm just going to ask, are there any plans in the future to return the training to in person? Because whilst it's easy not to have the travel for the virtual, but I do think that you absorb more in a physical meeting than you do just looking at the screen all the time.
Most definitely, Rosemary. I'm definitely seeing now that the providers who have during the last 2 years have tilted their provision online, they have started making noises about returning to online training provision. So if the appetite is there, Rosemary, to make the effort to travel to a venue to receive training, I'm sure now in the next 12 months that there will definitely be an increase in a return to in-person training. So when those opportunities arise, I'm happy to share them with local board members, and you can consider your options.
Lovely, thank you, Jeff.
No problem. Great. So, right. So we were on the breaches. Yeah. Sorry.
So in the interest of time, Chairman, if I just ask you to scroll to page 58, I think where the very latest breaches appear, you can see that Karen has very kindly provided a bit more additional detail on page 58, because the eagle-eyed of you will see that obviously we've had 5 employers who have not made their contributions within a crime timescale. Normally it's just the 1 or 2. So this period has been a slightly different period in that we have slightly a higher number of employers that have paid late. So this merited additional investigation, and staff have gone away and made some additional investigations on why that might be the case. And as you can see on page 58, that just provides a bit more detail of the scale and the reasons why those employers paid late. So as you can see, a couple of them were because they had new staff in place, and obviously, perhaps they weren't aware of the timescales required and the timetable, etc. One slightly larger in scale, that the housing association, it was a one-off late payment, and again, this was because of new staff in place. We have the one small town council, which is the persistent one that you're used to receiving notification of a breach about. Again, it's 2 contributors, very small amount of money, £400, and it's not as if the fund is in danger of not receiving these contributions ever. It's just that they're late and outside of the period, and we're obliged to report it to you because they're late. So it doesn't present an extant risk to the fund. It's just we have to report it to you because of the breach of the period. And then the other small town council, again, it's anomalous. It was just a one-off late payment, perhaps because it's over Christmas, perhaps due to illness. We haven't really identified the reason why, but it was just late for that one reason. So none of them cause for great concern on a materiality limit or on a persistent operational level. But we're required to report it to the board for your consideration.
Well, as you say, if there are truly good reason, not good, nothing, it's a bad reason for not paying, but if there's a reason that we can identify and we're fairly confident it shouldn't happen again, especially with the new staff replacements. That's good news. So it's still quite low. I suppose we take up the new staff situation. So that's good. Yeah, it's a shame it's just town councils. That's all. Perhaps we need a conversation off air. And
Yeah, we do. I think it's just a function of the fact they tend to be one-man bands,
Yeah.
and I suppose on their list of things to do and their priorities, you know, remitting pension contributions on time is probably number 78 on the list of things to do and priorities. So understandable, but you know, we're still required to report it as a breach to you.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. Okay. All right then. So I suppose we can move on now to the next item agenda, which is exclusion to the public. So I'm sworn Jeff, Jeremy ready then, that we're going to exclude the public from the meeting during consideration by the following, etc., which is on that exclusion notice. Could I have a proposer, please?
I propose.
Thank you very much. A second, maybe, Peter? Thank you. All right, Jeremy? Yeah.
Okay, that's agreed. Okay, thank you. I shall stop recording now.
Great, thanks.